There are things we carry long after they are over. A conversation that ended years ago, a mistake no one else remembers, a person who left but still appears in the quietest rooms of the mind, a version of life that never became real. We carry these things invisibly. No one sees their weight when we wake in the morning. No one hears them when they follow us into an empty room. Yet they shape the way we speak, the people we trust, the risks we avoid, and the future we believe we deserve. The past itself is no longer happening, but inside the mind, it may still be happening every day. A single painful moment can be repeated hundreds of times. A sentence spoken once can be heard for years. A door that closed long ago can remain open in memory, waiting for someone to return with the apology, explanation, or love we never received. And because the pain feels connected to something important, letting it go can feel like betrayal. If you stop grieving, did the person no longer matter? If you forgive yourself, does that mean the mistake was acceptable? If you release your anger, does the person who hurt you escape responsibility? If you stop thinking about what happened, will you lose the lesson? These are not simple questions. This is why telling someone to just let go rarely helps. The hand does not open merely because it is commanded to open. It opens when it finally understands that what it is holding can no longer protect it. Buddhist wisdom does not ask us to erase the past. It asks us to see clearly what the past has become inside us. Is it still teaching us, or are we carrying it only because we have forgotten how to put it down? There is a story about a traveler, a mountain path, and a bag filled with stones. It begins at the gate of an old monastery, just before sunrise. A man named Arun arrived at the monastery after walking for 7 days. His clothes were covered in dust, his sandals were torn, and across his shoulders he carried a large leather bag. The bag was so heavy that his body leaned forward beneath it. Each time he took a step, the stones inside struck against one another. An elderly monk was sweeping fallen leaves near the gate. Arun lowered the bag to the ground and bowed. "I have come a long way to ask for your help," he said. "I have no peace. I cannot sleep without remembering what has happened to me. I cannot look toward the future without fearing that the past will happen again." The monk rested both hands on the handle of his broom. "What is inside the bag?" "Only things I need." The monk looked at Arun's bent shoulders and the red marks across his skin. "Are you certain?" Arun did not answer. The monk invited him into the monastery, but first he told Arun that they would walk to a small temple higher on the mountain. "The teaching you seek cannot be heard from here," the monk said. Arun lifted the bag again. The path began gently, winding through cedar trees and morning mist. But as the mountain became steeper, Arun's breathing grew heavy. After less than an hour, he asked to rest. The monk sat beside him beneath an ancient tree. "What do you carry?" he asked again. Arun reluctantly opened the bag. Inside were stones of different sizes and colors. Some were sharp, some were smooth. A few were so large that it was difficult to understand how he had carried them so far. The monk reached toward one of the stones. Arun immediately closed the bag. "Please do not touch them." "Why?" "Each one belongs to me." The monk noticed that a word had been carved into the surface of every stone. On one was written betrayal, on another, failure, on another, father. There were stones marked regret, shame, anger, loss, and if only. The largest stone carried the name of a person. "Where did these stones come from?" the monk asked. "I collected them during my life. Each stone reminds me of something I must never forget." "Why must you never forget?" "Because if I forget what people did to me, they may hurt me again. If I forget my mistakes, I may repeat them. And if I forget the people I have lost, it will be as though they never mattered." The monk nodded. Then let us continue. Arun lifted the bag, and they climbed higher. Many of us carry the past for the same reasons Arun carried his stones. We believe memory will keep us safe. The mind returns to betrayal because it is searching for the sign it missed. It examines every conversation, every expression, every silence, hoping to discover the exact moment when love became dishonesty. It says, if I understand everything that happened, I will never be surprised again. But understanding has an ending. Overthinking does not. A lesson reaches a conclusion and changes how we live. A wound repeats the same question and leaves us standing in the same place. We may also carry the past because pain has become connected to identity. After being betrayed, we become the one who was betrayed. After failing, we become the one who failed. After being abandoned, we become the one people always leave. A painful event becomes a sentence. The sentence becomes a story. And after repeating the story for many years, we begin to believe that it is who we are. But something that happened to you is not the whole of you. It may have changed you. It may have taken something precious. It may deserve to be remembered. But it does not deserve to become the only lens through which you see the rest of your life. Arun believed he was carrying the stones. He had not yet noticed how much the stones were carrying him back into old rooms, old conversations, and old versions of himself. The path grew narrower. At one point, Arun lost his footing. The bag pulled him backward, and he nearly fell down the slope. The monk caught his arm. You may need to remove something, he said. I told you, everything inside is necessary. Then choose one necessary thing, and tell me why you carry it. Arun opened the bag and removed a dark stone marked betrayal. My closest friend deceived me, he said. We built a business together. I trusted him as I would have trusted my own brother. He took the money and disappeared. My family suffered because of him. How long ago? 12 years. And what has this stone taught you? That people cannot be trusted. The monk looked at him. Has believing that protected you? Yes. No one has betrayed me since. Has anyone come close enough to become your friend? Arun remained silent. The monk continued. Perhaps the betrayal taught you to pay attention, to ask better questions, and to protect what matters. These are lessons, but no one can be trusted is not a lesson. It is a prison built around a wound. Arun looked down at the stone. What should I do? Pretend it never happened? No. See what happened clearly. Keep the wisdom. Stop carrying the person. Arun placed the stone back inside the bag. He was not ready to leave it. The monk did not force him. They continued climbing. By midday, the sun had burned through the mist. Arun's shoulders ached. His hands had become numb from holding the straps. When they stopped again, the monk asked him to choose another stone. This time, Arun removed one with a jagged surface. The word carved into it was failure. This one is not about what someone did to me, Arun said. It is about what I did. Years earlier, before his business collapsed, Arun had been given the opportunity to help his younger brother, but he was too proud and too busy. He ignored several letters, asking him to return home. When he finally went back, his brother was gone. I believed there would be more time, Arun said. There was not. His voice became quiet. If I put this stone down, I am afraid I will be forgiving myself too easily. The monk picked up a fallen branch and drew 2 circles in the earth. In the first circle is responsibility, he said. In the second is punishment. Which one brings your brother back? Neither. Which one helps you live differently? Responsibility. And which one have you practiced for all these years? Arun looked at the stone. Punishment. Regret can become a strange form of loyalty. We believe that if we continue suffering, we are proving that the person mattered. We fear that peace would mean we have escaped the consequences of our actions. But endless self-punishment does not repair the past. It does not serve the people we failed. It does not turn back time. True remorse does something more difficult. It allows pain to become responsibility. It changes the way we speak to those who are still here. It makes us answer the next letter. It makes us apologize while there is still time. It teaches us to become present before another moment becomes a regret. Punishment keeps looking backward. Responsibility turns wisdom toward the life that remains. The monk asked Arun, if your brother could speak to you now, would he ask you to carry this stone until your final day? Arun closed his eyes. No, he whispered. Then honor him in the way you live, not in the weight you carry. This time, Arun did not return the stone to the bag. He placed it beside the path. For several moments, he stood looking at it. Then they continued. When people hear the words, let go, they often imagine losing something. They fear that memory will disappear, that love will disappear, that justice will disappear. But letting go is not the same as throwing away. There is a difference between remembering and carrying. You can remember a person without asking grief to wound you every morning. You can remember a betrayal without allowing it to enter every new relationship. You can remember a mistake without turning your entire life into its punishment. You can remember who you were without believing you must remain that person forever. The past can remain part of your story without continuing to write every chapter. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence reminds us that everything shaped by conditions will change. Relationships change. Bodies change. Roles change. Feelings change. Even the person you were at the moment of your greatest mistake has not remained completely unchanged. Impermanence is painful when we demand that beautiful things stay, but it is also merciful. It means painful things do not have to remain exactly as they were. Grief can become tenderness. Failure can become humility. Betrayal can become discernment. Loneliness can become the beginning of a deeper relationship with yourself. The past cannot be rewritten, but its meaning is not always finished. The monk and Arun eventually reached a river cutting across the mountain path. Heavy rain had destroyed the wooden bridge. To continue, they collected branches, bamboo, and vines. Together, they built a small raft. The crossing was difficult. The current pushed them downstream, and cold water covered their feet. But the raft held together until they reached the opposite shore. Arun stepped onto dry land. Then he lifted the raft onto his shoulders. The monk asked, "What are you doing? This raft saved us. It may be useful again." It was useful for crossing the river. Then, should we abandon something that helped us? If you carry it up the mountain, what helped you cross one difficulty will become the cause of the next. Arun looked at the steep path ahead. The raft had saved them. There was no question about that. But its purpose had been completed. They thanked the raft by leaving it beside the river for another traveler. In one of the Buddha's best-known images, the teaching itself is compared to a raft built for crossing over, not for carrying on the back after the crossing is complete. If even a useful teaching should not become an object of attachment, how much more carefully should we examine the pain, beliefs, and defenses we continue carrying? Some things protected you once. Anger may have given you the strength to leave. Distrust may have prevented someone from hurting you again. Emotional distance may have helped you survive a time when feeling everything would have been overwhelming. Do not hate the defenses that protected you, but do not assume that because they once saved you, they must guide the rest of your life. A wall can protect a wounded heart. It can also prevent the heart from ever being reached again. A raft can carry you across a river. It cannot help you climb a mountain. Wisdom knows not only what to hold, it knows when something has completed its purpose. The path beyond the river was the steepest part of the journey. The bag was lighter, but Arun still struggled. The monk pointed toward the largest stone, the one carrying a person's name. "You have not spoken about that one." Arun stopped. The stone carried the name of his wife, who had died many years earlier. He touched it carefully. "This stone is different. Hell, I do not carry it because she hurt me. I carry it because I loved her." The monk sat beside him. Arun explained that after his wife died, people told him time would heal his grief. But he did not want time to take her away. He kept her clothes exactly where she had left them. He prepared food she had once enjoyed. He refused invitations because laughter made him feel disloyal. "If I become happy again," he said, "what does that say about my love for her?" The monk looked toward the trees moving gently in the wind. "Do you believe love and suffering are the same thing? They have lived together for so long that I no longer know the difference. Then perhaps you are not afraid of losing your suffering. Perhaps you are afraid that without it, you will lose your love." Tears filled Arun's eyes. The monk did not tell him to put the stone down. Some burdens cannot be released by argument. They must be understood so deeply that the hand opens on its own. After a long silence, the monk asked, "When your wife loved you, did her love make your life smaller or larger?" "Larger." "Did she ask you to close your heart to the world?" "No." "Then why would remembering her require you to live in a way her love never asked of you?" Grief is love, learning to live in a changed world. At first, it feels like a wound that has no edge. Everything touches it. A familiar song, an empty chair, a meal prepared for one person instead of two. But slowly, grief may change. Not because love becomes smaller, but because the heart becomes large enough to hold both love and absence. Letting go of suffering does not mean letting go of the person. You do not honor love by refusing to live after it changes. You honor it by allowing what was given to you to continue through the way you meet the world. Arun lifted the stone from the bag. He held it against his chest. Then he carried it in his hands as they walked the final distance. By late afternoon, Arun and the monk reached the small temple near the summit. There were no golden statues and no great halls, only a simple wooden shelter, a bell, and a view stretching across the valley. Arun placed the bag on the ground. It was nearly empty. The monk asked, "Has the mountain become less steep?" "No." "Has the journey become shorter?" "No." "Then why are you standing differently?" Arun looked at his shoulders. "Because I am no longer carrying everything I brought." Together they examined the stones that remained. Some held lessons Arun wanted to remember. Others contained questions that could never be answered. Some represented people he was still waiting to change. Others represented versions of himself who no longer existed. The monk did not tell him which stones to keep. Letting go cannot be forced by another person. What feels like a stone to one person may still be an unfinished lesson to another. The question is not whether the memory is painful. The question is whether carrying it is helping you live with greater wisdom now. Arun began removing stones. He placed them one upon another beside the temple path. The dark stone of betrayal became the foundation. The stone of anger rested above it. Then came shame, regret, and the words, "if only." Finally, he placed his wife's stone at the top. The stones formed a small marker visible from the path below. "What have you made?" the monk asked. "A sign for other travelers." The monk smiled. The stones had not disappeared. The past had not been erased. But what had once been a private burden had become a source of direction. This is one of the deepest forms of healing. The experience remains, but its purpose changes. The wound becomes compassion for someone else who is wounded. The mistake becomes patience with someone still learning. The loss becomes an understanding of how precious ordinary moments are. The stones do not have to remain on your back. They can become part of the path. Take a quiet moment and imagine the bag you have been carrying. Do not try to empty it immediately. Simply notice its weight. What memory returns most often? Whose voice still lives inside your thoughts? What mistake have you used to punish yourself? What ending are you still waiting to receive? Choose one stone. You do not need to choose the heaviest. Begin with the one you are ready to examine. Ask, what happened? Name the event honestly. Then ask, what did this teach me? Perhaps it taught you to set a boundary, to speak sooner, to listen to your intuition, to value time, to stop abandoning yourself for the approval of others. Keep the lesson. Then ask, what am I carrying that is no longer part of the lesson? Perhaps it is the belief that everyone will betray you, that one mistake has ruined your life, that you are unworthy of love, that you cannot be happy because someone you loved is gone, that the past must apologize before you are allowed to move forward. Notice the difference between wisdom and weight. You may say quietly, this happened. It mattered. I will carry the wisdom, but I do not need to carry the wound in the same way forever. Take a slow breath. Imagine placing the stone beside the path. You are not throwing it away. You are not claiming it was unimportant. You are choosing a different relationship with it. If your hand is not ready to open, do not force it. Perhaps today you only loosen your grip. That is also part of letting go. The following morning, Arun began walking down the mountain. The monk accompanied him as far as the river. When they reached the place where they had left the raft, Arun looked at it and smiled. He understood now. Some things are sacred because they carry us through a difficult crossing, but we do not honor them by carrying them forever. At the lower path, Arun saw the stone marked failure where he had left it the day before. For a moment, he considered picking it up. The old guilt returned. But then he remembered his brother. Instead of lifting the stone, he bowed to it. Thank you for what you taught me, he said. Then he continued walking. The road had not changed. The world had not promised never to hurt him again. There would be other losses, other mistakes, and other rivers to cross. But Arun no longer believed that carrying every past pain was the only way to protect his future. For the first time in many years, his hands were free. Perhaps the past you carry cannot be forgotten. Perhaps it should not be forgotten. But remembrance and imprisonment are not the same. You can remember without returning. You can learn without continuing to punish yourself. You can love someone who is gone without refusing the life that remains. You can acknowledge what another person did without allowing their actions to decide who you become. The past is a teacher, but it was never meant to become your permanent home. Keep what makes you wiser. Keep the compassion. Keep the discernment. Keep the boundaries. Keep the understanding that life is fragile and time should not be wasted. But place down the shame that has taught you nothing new. Place down the anger that has completed its purpose. Place down the demand that yesterday must become different before today can be peaceful. You do not have to carry every stone to prove that the journey mattered. Sometimes, the clearest evidence that you have learned from the past is that you finally stop living there. If you are carrying something heavy today, remember Arun's journey. The mountain did not become smaller. The path did not become easier. He simply stopped carrying what no longer needed to travel with him. May you have the courage to look inside your own bag. May you recognize the difference between wisdom and weight. May you honor what happened without allowing it to hold the rest of your life. And when your hand is ready, may you gently place one stone beside the path, not because it meant nothing, but because your life is still moving forward, and you were never meant to carry the past forever.